there's a really valuable life skill to learn and develop. And it's hard to know what to call it, but it's something along the lines of this. It's the ability to have a radical acceptance of truth. And I'm not sure, how else to say it. The ability to just simply know truth when it comes, or to accept the truth. See, there's this thing that so often we don't do. We often go the opposite. We often deny truths, but there's this thing about life that there are truth. There really are true things. There are things that are right or wrong, or correct or incorrect. It simply is the case. But so many people strive in their life so hard to ignore or deny truth. But being able to develop the ability to find truth and then to accept it, no matter what it means, in spite of the fact of what it means. So this is to say that you discover a truth, and even though it may be an uncomfortable truth, or it may mean that there's something in your life that's been turned upside down, or that what you thought was true turns out to be incorrect, and you're going to have to reorder your whole life, and that's terrifying. But there's a real importance. If you can learn to do that, you will be far more powerful in your life. You will achieve so much more. You will be healthier. Your whole mental psyche will be better balanced. It's because truth is what it is. It's true. It's real. And it doesn't care whether you believe in it. So learning the ability to be able to just say, here's something that's true. Even if I don't like what it means, I accept that it's true. And I'll even go to the radical step of saying, I'll even accept that what it means is true as well, even though I don't like it. And so the truth and what it means. In Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah in the Old Testament, chapter 7, verse 27 to 28, God is speaking to the prophet, and he's telling him to go to Israel and speak to them, because they had basically abandoned this idea of ever owning up to truth, which is very similar to our society today. At any rate, he tells them, and he says these words. He said, you shall speak all these words to them, right? What God is telling the prophet to speak. You're to speak all these words to them, but they will not listen to you. And you shall call to them, but they will not answer you. You shall say to them, this is the nation that did not obey the voice of the Lord their God or accept correction. Truth has perished and has been cut off from their mouth. And in this, God is saying to Jeremiah, sort of, I guess, along the lines of what I'm saying to you today, is he's saying to them, like, this nation no longer accepts correction. They will not accept when they're wrong. They will not accept it. And thus, truth has removed. It's perished. It's died from their mouth. They can no longer speak truth. They don't know it when they see it. And thus, they're in serious trouble because truth is gone. How can you ever act well in life if you don't have truth? Living in the dark, stumbling around, trying to figure out how to do things, but without actual truth is pretty hard. Imagine driving down a highway at night, speeding along at highway speeds in the utter dark of night, on a dark and cloudy night, so there's not even a moon or stars, and you don't have headlights. Can you imagine driving down that highway as fast as you can go with no headlights on at all? I mean, that's disaster going to happen, obviously. It's just going to happen. You're going to kill yourself and whoever's in your car, because you need to have that knowledge of what's ahead of you so that you can drive your car safely on the road. It's the same idea with truth. Knowing truth is a very, very powerful thing, but not knowing it is very, 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 very threatening. So we have the old proverb of, truth is power, information is power, knowledge is power. Jesus put it this way: you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So the implication being, you don't know the truth, you are under bondage, and it's so true that you would be in bondage without having truth. And yet we work so hard to refuse truth. What was happening in Jeremiah's time when the Lord gave him this prophecy, it's similar in our day today. It's similar throughout various eras of history, human history. Humans have this amazing potential to understand the world more so than any other creature on the planet. We have the ability to understand the world, to see truth, to learn things. And yet, more than probably any other creature on the planet, we have this incredible ability to deny truth, run from it, hide from it, ignore it. It's incredible, but we do. Sometimes we refuse truth. We just refuse it, even though it's true, but we refuse it because we just simply don't like it. We don't like what it means. We don't like it. And so I'm not going to accept it. It's not true. No, that's not true. I don't accept it. And we'll just close down any kind of, and somebody tries to talk to us about it or convince us, we'll just shut down because no, I've decided I don't want that to be true because I don't like what it means. And it doesn't stop it from being true though, does it? Or we'll deny truth and run from it because others don't like it. We'll sometimes have this feeling that I so want to be accepted by the group around me or affirmed by people I respect and love that I will simply adopt whatever truths they've accepted, whether they're true or not. And I'll even deny what I think is right because I want to be liked by them. And so our social network often reinforces the adoption of lies or mistruths because we're so desperate to be part of the group. And like lemmings will, or the fable of the lemming at least, that they'll just run off a cliff after each other. It's weird, but humans will do this. Our priorities are all messed up. Sometimes people reject truth. They don't want truth because they honestly, in their subconscious at least, they honestly believe they can create reality by what they accept and don't accept. They actually start to believe their denials or their lies. They actually start to think, if I don't accept this as true, then it will not be true. Or if I can just convince you that it's true, then it will be true. And so you'll get the person who will try really hard to convince you that they're a certain type of person. Whether they really are or not, doesn't matter. As long as you believe they are, then in their world, they are. And so you get this idea of self-deception where people don't accept truths about themselves. Instead, they deceive themselves and those around them, thinking that somehow will actually make the deception a reality, but it doesn't. And then they just wander around in the dark. And the worst of all this is the liar, right? The one who deliberately mishandles truth. Even though he may know it to be different, he deliberately mishandles it with himself or with others in order to control and to try to manipulate and control. I think this is one of the reasons why in the scriptures lying is considered one of the worst sins of all, because if you're not able to accept truth, how could you ever make the proper decision? How you ever be free? And perhaps this is why Satan himself is so condemned and lost, is because he's the father of lies. And from the very beginning, he was one who would not accept the truth, but rather used falsehood and used it to manipulate others, both himself and Adam and Eve in the garden, and humanity ever since. And even with Jesus, he tried to use lies to try and manipulate him. And it's just a terrible place to be, that you find yourself in a place where you're so mishandled truth that you can't recognize it anymore. And it's deadly. The truth is, if we're not open to learning truths that we don't know, if we're not open in our minds and hearts to discovery of truth, then we will never really ever likely to ever find truth. It's not going to just happen to you. It's very unlikely you'll just stumble into it. And that closeness will be like closing your eyes or turning off your headlights on the highway or whatever, and it leaves you in the dark. Now, I'm not just saying that that truth is easy to find, and I'm not saying here today that it's going to be just every statement that comes to you, you should just accept anything anybody ever says. That would be just as blind as anything. Truth is a hard thing to discover. It's hard to know anything truly, fully. It's very difficult. It's one of the reasons we have all the debates we have in the world, because people have different perspectives of a situation, and they're all trying to figure it out. And it's tempting for us all just to throw our hands up in the air and say, truth is relative. Everybody make up your own truth. But I mean, that would be really foolish, wouldn't it? But it is difficult. And so learning truth and gaining understanding is something you have to pursue. Something you have to strive after and make an effort to go after. And so we have a book in the Bible called Proverbs, for instance, which is all about the process of pursuing wisdom and truth and understanding, because it's something you have to do. You have to seek it. So you have to be wise. And the Bible tells us, if any of us lacks wisdom, we should ask God, who gives graciously and generously. And I guess that leads me to my last point. In my pursuit of truth, I have never found a source ever that is so good as the scriptures of God. God's scriptures, though they are sometimes difficult to understand, as you delve into them and research them and pursue the truth that's locked within the pages of His Word, it has never failed me. It's amazingly enlightening. I guess it's sort of like what Jesus said, truly, truly, I say to you. And I think God's word is truth. And I really would encourage you in your pursuit of truth to start with the scripture. Something for you to think about today.